Good afternoon, Louisiana, and welcome to Bayou Bets for Monday, December the 12th. Zach Ewing here with Spencer the Guru and Zoe Collins-Rath. Jim Derry is on vacation. This is a good weekend for me, guys. We talk about how we do sports betting every weekend. We talk about our wins and our losses, and I have to say I had the biggest win I will probably ever have this weekend. I won an NFL Survivor pool that is run through a website called The Season, SZN, and the grand prize is $100,000. So I am having a very good week. Still don't have all the details, not rife with cash or anything. I think I get paid after the Super Bowl, but it made Christmas a little brighter in the Ewing household. So good weekend for me.
That's awesome.
Hey, let's get it. Oh man, $100,000.
Yeah, look,
awesome.
You get into those things that cost $20 again. You don't expect to win them with 13,000 people in it, but it worked out for me. It was one of those things. We can talk more about it. Where I at this point in this pool, you need to win. You have to pick two teams per week, and those two teams that I picked were the Bills and the Bengals, and so they both played at noon, and we also had the Titans playing at noon against the Jaguars. Well, the Titans needed, I think 20 of the remaining 25 people had picked the Titans, and so once they lost and my two teams won, like all of a sudden it was like, wow, this got real. And I just needed both of the two remaining people with me had the Seahawks. Just needed the Seahawks to lose in the afternoon. It was going crazy. My family was going crazy. So it was seriously a lot of fun, and just fantastic.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, I couldn't believe the Panthers pulled it off. I was thinking, like, man, that's going to be the one. That's going to be the one to trip you up. But they got it done, man. That Seahawks run defense, not too good. Panthers had the right game plan there and got it done. So, yeah, I was glad to see that as far as that. I tell you what, NFC South odds, I know we'll get to that later, but might have a sleeper team there.
Okay. It's not over yet, and I think I know who you're talking about, and I'm not even sure I would consider them a sleeper at this point. But for those of you who just joined, I know one of the Facebook pages we just got up, but I won $100,000 in the Survivor pool this weekend, so I'm having a good weekend. I do want to remind everybody, Bayou Bets is brought to you by Caesars Sportsbook. Go to NOLA.com/Caesars today. Get your first bet free or risk-free up to $1,250. You can also go to LSUposter.com and get a set of 3 LSU championship posters from front pages past. Kyle says his sleeper team in the NFC South is the Falcons. That's not who I was thinking of. No, that's not who I'm thinking of.
He's just saying that because he bet on them.
Yeah. But this, look, we'll start there. My Survivor pool. This is my path to $100,000. Okay. And as you can see, it started with, I should have been out in week 1, if we're being completely honest. I broke the golden rule, Jim Derry's golden rule. I took a road favorite in a division game in week 1, and the Saints somehow pulled it out. I was driving back from Lafayette that day. I had my son's soccer tournament, listened to the game on the radio, and the Saints pull it out. And I'm just laughing to myself thinking, wouldn't it be crazy if I went deep into this thing now that I survived this? Never thinking I was actually going to win, mind you. And if you go forward, like week 3, okay, the Bears won a field goal as time expired against the Texans. They were never in huge danger of losing that game, but it was tie. And ties, by the way, knock you out. So week 4, Packers and Patriots, Packers hit a last-second field goal in overtime. If they miss that, that's a tie and I lose. Week 5, I don't know if y'all remember that game. The Bucs were up 21-0. Falcons almost came back. That was the Tom Brady roughing the passer game. So I kind of survived on that. Rams were trailing in the second half, week 6. Raiders were trailing in the second half, week 7. Weeks 8 and 9, pretty easy. Wasn't really in danger again. I think the Ravens and Panthers in week 11 was like 3-3 going to the fourth quarter. Week 12, the Falcons were going to beat the Commanders through an interception inside of a minute in the end zone. Otherwise, they probably win that game. So survived there. Then last week, Seahawks get a touchdown with like a minute to go against the Rams to take the lead there. And it really was Survivor. So pretty fantastic. Monica says hello.
Survivor for a reason.
Yeah, that's right. You just have to have luck in these things. So got luck. made some good picks and saved the Bills for this week, which was huge because nobody else had them. So that's that.
Yep, and the Bengals. Yeah. I mean, those teams had been. I had the Bengals out, and I was in one with Jim. I picked the Bengals like pretty early in it because they had, I think, the Jets in like week 3. But yeah, the fact that you had the Bills and the Bengals, I think that goes to show a lot of the key to this is like saving the good teams to the end if you can. I know it's tough a lot of weeks, but if you can find a matchup of like a team that's not that the public's not really on that you feel good about, like that's the way to go deep in these things.
Yeah, and it's like balancing risk, right? Like, I mean, if you look at this, in some ways I got very lucky because some of the teams I used early, Saints, Broncos, Packers, Bucks, Rams, these teams were expected to be very good this year. And so I was using, to varying degrees, but they all had win totals above 8, let's say. And so in some ways you're using teams you think are good, but I just got lucky that I happened to pick them on. Obviously, I targeted some bad teams. I targeted the Texans an awful lot, the Falcons, the Panthers. And so I was able to get rid of some of those teams. Then they ended up not being all that good, and I still had the Cowboys for Week 8. I still had the Chiefs for Week 10. And if you notice, I never even used the Eagles. I had them saved up for next week against Chicago. So the best record in the NFL, never even used them. I was going to pick them next week against Chicago. It didn't get that far.
Pretty wild. Man, Zach, I thought you were going to have the big pint ready to go, ready to celebrate.
Well, I did my drinking last night. I got
I gotcha. Makes sense. Yeah, I had to celebrate in the moment.
Yeah.
No, but Kyle's right. I think there's more than 3 good teams. Eagles, Chiefs, Bills, for sure. And then you can add
49ers
on
and
49ers,
Bengals,
Cowboys.
Good. Yeah, Bengals.
Ravens when they're healthy. Bengals. There's some teams out there who you can generally trust to beat bad teams. But out of those top 3, Bills and Eagles and Chiefs, I was able to save 2 of them until Week 14. So very key there. Week 14 does end tonight. Patriots at Cardinals. Mm-hmm. Spencer, you made this one of your best bets. The Patriots getting some steam here. They went from 1-point favorites earlier in the week, now 2.5-point road favorites.
Yeah, I'm going with them here. It's they're on the road, but it's not a divisional game, so I think they'll be able to take care of business here. Bill Belichick usually schemes well against opponents out of conference, and I don't see Kyler Murray being able to do what he like his usual. I mean, normally Kyler Murray can put up points, but I don't see him doing a whole lot here. I think the Patriots get it done. Their defense is far superior to Arizona's, and Mac Jones isn't great, but he's serviceable. He should be able to do enough to get them to where they'll cover this.
Zoe, your take on tonight? Pats and Cardinals, you got to take?
I'm with Spencer. I think the Pats are going to cover. I trust Bill Belichick as a coach, and I think his experience speaks for himself. And I remember watching the Cardinals play the Saints, and the only reason why the Cardinals look any good was because the Saints were so bad. But I think Kyler Murray is a little bit inconsistent, and I think Mac Jones may have a decent game, actually, against the Cardinals.
Yeah, could be. I also like the Patriots in this one, which is a little scary because when all of us like something, look at Jerry's. Good afternoon to you, my man. He says,
Jerry.
We said in the title of this video, the Saints are still alive. This is a Lloyd Christmas situation, Jerry. So I'm glad you brought this up because they are 4-9. But you're telling me there's a chance. The Saints play the Falcons on Sunday. They're 4-point favorites. Look, the Saints are not a good team. They're not a good team. But
none of these are good teams. This whole
none of these are good teams.
Bad teams.
Now, if the Saints had managed to, and I don't want to bring up bad memories, but a week ago, if they had managed to finish off the Bucks, this would be 4 teams all at 5-8, and the Saints would own the tiebreaker over a couple of them. The Saints' problem now, and why they're 40-1, is even if they're able to force ties with these teams, which is possible because they still play the Panthers and Falcons, Bucks play the Bengals this week. They're going to be underdogs. The problem is the Saints are going to lose almost any tiebreaker. So they not only have to tie these teams, they have to pass them. And that's going to basically require a team that's 4-9 to win 4 in a row. So this is definitely a Lloyd Christmas situation. We're talking about 1 in a million. But look, I'm living proof that sometimes long shots hit. So
yeah, but I don't think it'll work. It's not. The Saints are going to be 4-10, and a certain someone said that the record was going to be 6 and something or 7-10, and that's clearly not going to happen. The Saints are just bad, bad, bad.
You're talking about Jim Derry?
Oh, is that who that was?
You know,
that
I actually
guy.
think he said 6-11, and I actually think that's still what the Saints will finish. I think they beat the Falcons, and they'll pick off either the Browns or the Panthers down the stretch. Yeah, Jerry, just look, they're talking
you gotta
about
be
it.
real. Yeah,
They are a long shot. Falcons do have a rookie starting. It is Desmond Ridder starting for Marcus Mariota on Sunday. So you don't really know what you're going to get here. The Saints defense has honestly been playing pretty well. I do think they win this game. We'll talk more about it on Thursday. But, yeah, look. Long shot chance. Got a chance. And I don't – it's not a good chance.
no, I mean, if anything, I mean, I know there's the value kind of got taken out of it after their big win Sunday, but I still think if I had to pick something on that board, I'd go with Carolina because they've been trending up lately, and I feel like they're actually playing hard under the interim head coach Steve Wilkes. You know, they're running the ball well, they're playing defense. To me, they're playing the best out of any of these teams. Tampa Bay they're gonna probably backdoor their way into winning it, but it would not shock me if Carolina steals it from them because right now, to me, Carolina is the best team in this division. I know that sounds insane, being that they traded Christian McCaffrey, but Deontay Foreman, Chuba Hubbard, they're still able to run the football. And Sam Darnold's been better than Baker Mayfield to where this team, they might very well steal it.
Yeah, and I mean, I think probably Saints fans, if you had to stomach another team winning the division, you'd pick Carolina, right? You wouldn't pick
definitely
Atlanta, certainly, and I don't think you pick Tom Brady and the Bucs. So,
at this point, I'd rather Atlanta or Carolina over Tom Brady and the Bucs. Ugh, that's
Anyone over
but
Brady.
I mean,
but Brady, yeah.
To your point, Spencer, the Panthers' remaining schedule, they're at home Sunday against Pittsburgh, and they're favored by 2.5. Christmas Eve, they're home against Detroit. Now, Detroit's playing very well. Carolina probably won't be favored in that game, but they're not going to be big dogs. They'll be maybe 2.5-point underdogs. Then they're at Tampa Bay on New Year's Day. That's really the key one, and that could be for the division. And the way Tampa Bay is playing, I don't know that I'd feel real comfortable betting on them. And then they finish the season in New Orleans against the Saints. So Carolina certainly could go into that Week 17 game New Year's Day and have a chance. Yeah, I bet you could stomach Atlanta because
No.
I'll tell you what, Kyle, since you put some coin on Atlanta, I'll go put some coin on Carolina, and hopefully one of us will win so Tom Brady doesn't get in.
In happier New Orleans news as we roll along on Bayou Bets, the Pelicans are playing very well. We'll get to that in a second. First off, other Week 14 results. I just looking at this list makes me so happy all over again because every result I needed just starting with
Jacksonville, man.
Yeah, I actually thought Jacksonville might win that game. I actually picked Jacksonville to win that game, but it was the Rams over the Raiders that stunned me. Just the Saints bucking. It was 16-3. The team that was, still in the playoff hunt, still had a chance, needed a big win, was getting a big win, and then they blew it. And the Rams scored 2 late touchdowns. Baker Mayfield goes 98 yards in like a minute 18 with no timeouts. Like, how the hell did that happen?
I have no idea. That was so insane because he literally was only there for 2 days. Had just picked up the playbook, tried to speed read it, just kind of improvise and say, I don't understand that. That was another case of with the Saints. It was more like the other team lost the game. The Raiders lost the game more than the Rams won the game. Not trying to discredit what Baker did, but it's man, Raiders, all you had to do was they broke it down on film, something with the safety. If the safety would have been in the better position, they would have won. It's just crazy how these teams just seem to always choke at the end of these games on defense.
Yeah, pretty bad. I don't know what they were doing defensively. Could have gone for it on 4th and 1 on the possession before. I know Jim is probably cursing me for saying that, but if you go for it there and you don't get it, and let's say the worst case scenario is you don't get it and the Rams go down and score the touchdown to go up 17-16, well, guess what? You still have it in that scenario. There's probably still a minute left for you to then go down and get a game-winning field goal potentially. So, Zoe, the NFL's just crazy.
That's why people love it. Nothing is guaranteed, if anything. That's why I'm nervous to bet on anything in the NFL because you don't know what's going to happen. I was so excited that the Saints were going to be Brady and come into the office for the next episode, and then they just blew it. And it's unpleasant to watch, but it's also fun to watch. That's why we love sports.
Yeah,
You just,
the one team that's been pretty consistent for me this year, and I hope I don't jinx them, and I said the Bengals. They have made me some money this year. I bet them I think like 4 times now, and they've won every time. So keep rolling, Big Joe.
and at the end of the show, we'll look ahead to Week 15 lines. Interesting one: Cincinnati at Tampa Bay, among some other interesting lines as well. Let's talk Pelicans. Let's talk Pelicans, everybody, because that's what everybody wants to talk about. The Pelicans have won 7 games in a row, including 2 over the Phoenix Suns over the weekend. Pels, I believe, were underdogs on Friday, favored on Sunday. And look, just tremendously entertaining basketball games. We saw the one Friday that Zion punctuated with the dunk. Suns players come off the bench and everybody gets upset. I don't, Chris Paul's done that before to other teams where he hits layups after the game's been decided and says, "Oh, nobody played defense." Well, nobody was playing defense in this game.
Yeah.
So anyway, that all led into Sunday, right, where we had this just emotions running on high, 2 good teams. You just don't see that in the NBA regular season very often, where both teams genuinely wanted to win, were putting forth 100% playoff type effort to win this game in December, and it was fantastic. It went to overtime. Pelicans prevail again. They've won 7 in a row, all without Brandon Ingram. Or at least the last 6, I think, have been without Brandon Ingram. They're number 1 in the Western Conference. Like, this is getting real now.
100%.
Enjoy it. Enjoy it while it lasts. Zach, as I said, first team in the West, Zion was named Conference Player of the Week. He had 70% shooting on Sunday with 35 points that game. I mean, this is the Zion that I think New Orleans has been looking for since he got drafted, and he's finally here. He's arrived, and the Pelicans are flying high. And even without, Ingram, everyone else is stepping up and doing really well. And it's so great. And I'm so happy that y'all get to enjoy good NBA basketball with the person that you drafted. So good on y'all.
It really is like Spencer. It's such a fun team to watch, and they're not totally homegrown. I mean, because the Anthony Davis trade has fueled some of this with Brandon Ingram specifically. But this is a young group that's going to be together for several more years. They're winning already. They're 18-8. As someone who's followed the Pelicans most of your life, like this / Hornets, this is a new feeling.
It really is. It has the feel of this is a true title contender. Like, this is a team that I feel like it's similar to Memphis in that, there's a lot of homegrown pieces. They both were down bad. Then they had the draft where they were both able to get Zion for the Pels, and then Ja Morant to Memphis. And ever since then, they've been on upward trajectories. And there was a point, though, where a lot of people were like, the Pels should have drafted Ja. He's actually playing. Zion never plays, but now that Zion's playing, we see why he was the number 1 overall pick, because when he's on the court, looks like he's got the most, the highest ceiling since LeBron James, as far as somebody that can just totally take over a game and that defenses can't stop, just bully his way into scoring at will, is where this team, with him healthy, and that's the key, he's got to stay healthy because he's had a lengthy injury history. But if healthy, I think it's going to come down to the Pels and Grizzlies, Zion versus Ja Morant battling it out for the West.
Wow. No Phoenix, no Denver, no Golden State?
Yeah, I know. The West is tough. I've
no Dallas?
Gun a little bit. No, the Dallas
Definitely
doesn't have
not
enough.
Dallas.
Dallas doesn't have enough. Luka's a one-man show. Denver, maybe, if they could get healthy, with Porter healthy, with Joker and Murray, that could be a dangerous team. And then, Phoenix is going to be pesky. And then Golden State, of course, they've got the pedigree. Not really worried about the Clippers either. I know that's a team a lot of people talk about. But Kawhi Leonard, he does not look himself.
His body's not right, clearly.
No,
there's something wrong.
Yeah, it's a shame. I think a lot of it is just, he's always the load management thing. People get on him about that. But I feel like he's just one of these players that just his body's just kind of breaking down. And it sucks because he's not even that old.
All right, let's look at this for a second. Best bet on the board. You talk about if you really do think it's between the Pels and Memphis for the West, plus 750 is good value there.
Mm-hmm.
I would certainly bet on that before I would bet on 15-1 to win the NBA title. You could have gotten them 30-1 a couple weeks ago. Certainly the value, especially because you think, okay, plus 750 to win the West. Well, chances are they'd be, if Boston is the team out of the East, heavy favorites out of the East, the Pelicans would absolutely be underdogs in those NBA Finals. Maybe, though, I look at the Southwest Division. Minus 110. They've already got a sizable lead. It would be Memphis and Dallas you have to outpace. Houston and San Antonio are not going to be a factor. So they'd have to beat out Memphis and Dallas. Minus 110 odds, not terrible.
Right. Yeah, I would. I'd probably stay away from the division because I still think there's a chance Memphis wins that. I mean, shoot, if you're really feeling the Pels, I'd almost take a chance on to win the West at plus 750. To me, that's really good value because I feel like they're right up there with anybody in the conference. And in the win total 50.5, I like the over on that. I think they win over 50 games.
I agree.
Grizzlies, by the way, Zoe, 17-9, just a game behind the Pelicans. But you were going to say?
Nah, I agree. I think it's just going to come down to Zion and the Pelicans and John Morant and the Grizzlies. They're both really good young teams, and I would be nervous about on anything this early, especially when it comes to conference. But I mean, if the oh my God, if the Pels are on the same, if the Pelicans are on the same trajectory that they have been going, and everyone stays healthy, and Zion proves to be the right person that they drafted and keeps proving everyone wrong, I think there's a really good chance that they can win the division. And I will say, anytime they play the Grizzlies, those games will matter down the stretch. Only because, first and second seed, if it comes to that, it's gonna be between those two teams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the thing. Memphis and the Pels, to me, are the deepest teams in the West. Like, to me, Denver and Golden State might be a little more top heavy, but they don't have the depth. I mean, Golden State's old and their depth's kind of lacking. Denver, I mean, their core is probably better than Golden State's as far as being younger, but they're another one, not a whole lot of depth there. So to me, that really favors teams down the stretch. So I know Memphis and the Pels, shoot, I don't think either one have ever been to the finals before, but I'm thinking this could be the year.
Nope, have not. And this is upcoming Pelican schedule on the road this week. 2 in Utah. Such a weird schedule. Played Phoenix for 2 at home, then 2 straight in Utah, and then to Phoenix. And then they come home and get the Bucks. Really kind of a tough stretch here. If they could go 2-2 out of those 4 games, I know they've won 7 in a row, but I think you'd be happy with 2-2, and then a couple of easier games before Christmas. Big one to look forward to. You guys mentioned Memphis. Pelicans are in Memphis on New Year's Eve. The teams play 4 times this year. They've split the first 2 meetings, each winning at home. They play in Memphis on New Year's Eve, and then the final game's in New Orleans, not until end of the season, April the 5th. So those could be key games for tiebreaker purposes, for home court in the playoffs, all of that stuff. But just amazing. I mean, just to sum this up, a year ago, Spencer, you and I and Jim and Patrick, one of our producers, went to a Pelicans, what was it, Blazers game.
Yeah.
As sort of a team bonding, went out, had a beer together. That place was half full. The Pelicans were like 9-20. They were just starting to play better. I mean, they had been like 3-16. So they were starting to play better, but it was just sort of like, where is this franchise going? And here we are just a year later talking about them NBA Finals matchups with Celtics and things like that, and home court advantage throughout the Western Conference. But it's amazing.
It's so insane. And another key part that we didn't really touch on is the CJ McCollum trade. How much of a game changer that was, bringing his, not just his great play, but also his veteran leadership to really complement all the young pieces. I mean, you got so much young talent: Jose Alvarado, Trey Murphy, Herb Jones. I mean, I could go on. There's so many, but CJ really helps complement that. And I mean, with the way he's scoring and leading the squad, that's what makes him dangerous. And I believe, wasn't CJ still on the Blazers at that point when we went and saw him? Oh, I think Zach's muted.
I'm sorry. I don't think he was. I
I'm trying
mean,
to
I think
when the trade
he
went. Yeah, I
was.
think he
The
still
trade was not
was.
until
Yeah.
February,
Right,
but
yeah,
he
so
was
he was
injured that
still a
night.
Blazer. Yeah,
Yeah,
but yeah, he
he
didn't
didn't play.
play. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it was.
crazy though to think that trade. Yeah, because I remember when we went to the game, we were joking, oh, maybe the Pels could try to swing a trade for Dame, but I got the next best thing with McCollum, and hey, I mean, Dame's nice and all, but CJ, I mean, is all we need because we got Zion and another Brandon Ingram hurt right now. If he could get back healthy. Man, this team, it's just, I feel like I'm in La La Land right now. It's just, is this real? Is this really the Pelicans?
That's why the very first thing that I said was enjoy it, because in my youth, when Derrick Rose is all the rave and we still love him in the shy, those great years, they just came and went like that. And looking back, I was like, man, I wish I could have enjoyed that more and watched more games. So enjoy a winning team while it lasts, because who knows what can happen throughout the season. But I'm hoping that the Pelicans can do it.
You know what's crazy about that to me is you say that, and I'm like, you're from Chicago. You've had 6 championships. I'm just getting old because that was my youth.
I barely remember that. I was
Yeah.
born in '96.
So you don't remember. They were 2 when they won their last title. You were 2 when they won their last title then. So, yeah, that's like that. I think that, and I'm like, oh, Bulls fans. Because I have other friends from Chicago, but they're my age, and you don't get to complain. You had 6 titles when you were kids. But you get a pass on that. So.
Yeah, I remember those years. They had Tom Thibodeau, Derrick Rose, and Joakim Noah. Yeah, those are some really good teams. They were like the 1 seed, but they
had a 1 seed, sure.
Yeah, it's just a shame what happened with Rose with his knee, because I mean they were looking like they were going to be really good for years to come.
Yeah, and the Pelicans will be good from years to come. Everyone is going to stay healthy, and they're going to do their job.
Knock on some wood, Jesus.
Speak it into existence. Speak it into existence.
No, I mean, it really is. The future could really hardly be brighter for this franchise, which, again, a year ago, you're going, they're in the wilderness. And they had these draft picks, and they had Zion, who hadn't really been healthy for a long stretch of time. Well, maybe there's something there, but it's still years off. And, listen, 2025 is our year. I'm not so sure it's not this year.
The future is now. That's for sure.
You're watching Bayou Bets, brought to you by Caesars Sportsbook. Go to lsuposter.com today to check out our special offer for LSU poster giveaways for making a $10 bet at Caesars Sportsbook, or go to NOLA.com/Caesars. A couple other things before we wrap back up with football. Well, some of it's football. College football bowl games start this weekend. We start with this is actually a top 25 matchup in the Cure Bowl, guys. Troy is number 24. UTSA is number 25. I'm sure most people unaware of that, but that starts bowl season. Pretty good game. Troy favored there. How about Oregon State, a 10-point favorite over Florida in the Las Vegas Bowl?
Man, that tells me Florida's probably didn't. I don't know. I guess that means that Richardson's not playing and they're just going to tank it. I mean, that's
your boy Billy Napier, man. He's going to go 6-7.
That line makes no sense. Yeah, kind of a disappointing first year for Billy. Thought he was going to win like 8 or 9 games. Got off to the good start week 1 against Utah, and then just kind of floundered in SEC play. I still think they've got a bright future over there, but yeah, they didn't start off quite as strong as I was thinking. And that line, that's a fishy line. As our boy Jim says, do not touch that with a stick.
Oregon State's better than you think.
Or maybe if I would touch it, I'd bet Oregon State. I'm definitely not touching Florida.
Oregon State beat Oregon, almost beat USC. It's a good team.
Yeah, 10's a lot of points, though.
It is. Yeah, I don't know that I would lay that many points either. But I'll tell you the game to watch out of all this list. The Cure Bowl Friday, the rest of them are Saturday. And I'm not just saying this because it's my hometown and I've been to the game before. The New Mexico Bowl, SMU and BYU are going to put up some points. And that, like, if you're just into one of these games that goes back and forth and back, the total in that game is 64, and I'll take the over. Those are a couple of explosive offenses and not so great defenses.
Yeah. I've seen them BYU. Yeah, I've seen BYU here and there. Yeah, they're not very good this year, but yeah, they can score in bunches. So yeah, that one's probably gonna, like you said, Zach, go way over.
Still a couple of weeks away from the big bowl games, the college football playoff semifinals on New Year's Eve. We've got Michigan favored by 7.5 over TCU, and Georgia by 6.5 over Ohio State. LSU up to a 10.5-point favorite. We mentioned this on Thursday, and the money line keeps going up too. Now minus 420 on the money line. This does feel like a game like LSU really wants to win. I mean, I know in bowl games these days you got to think about the motivation factor. Well, I think LSU's motivated to finish this season on a good note.
I agree, but I also am curious to know who the quarterback is going to be, whether it be Jaden Daniels or Garrett Nussmeier. Both of them are great options. And for crying out loud, LSU's offense needs to put up big points. They didn't have that great of a game in the SEC championship game against Georgia. And I'm optimistic that they'll do something good against a team that growing up I always called for don't, because they don't do well.
Because they don't. And yeah, I think Perdon't ain't going to win this game. That's the word. Per ain't going to win this game. Same time, USC Tulane. I'm not so sure that if LSU, if that line if the LSU line is forecasting a Tigers blowout, I think a lot of people may switch over at halftime to watch the Cotton Bowl, see how Tulane can do against the Trojans. Spence.
Yeah, I think so. And this is another line that. Oh, you've talked about it already. Seems kind of weird, and it's not really that weird to me though, because with Caleb Williams, assuming he doesn't go, I think Tulane's got a real shot at this thing. I know Jim doesn't agree, but I don't see where Tulane's going to be able to. I mean, USC is going to be able to slow down Tulane's running game, and if Tulane can control the clock and just kind of just bully their way to the win, then I think it's realistic because I don't know who USC's backup is, but I don't think he's anywhere close to Caleb Williams and. They might have other players sit out for all we know, so I'd go with the wave here.
Caleb Williams, by the way, said at the Heisman ceremony, Caleb Williams on the Heisman on Saturday night, that he will play in the bowl game. Now, Lincoln Riley, the USC coach, says he's questionable that the hamstring injury that he suffered in the Pac-12 title game is fairly severe, and so medically he may be questionable. He may not be in great game shape or whatever, but Caleb Williams, from what he says, I mean, this is not a case of a guy, I'm going to go get ready for the draft. Caleb Williams still has another year to go before he's drafted. So he says he's going to play. I think he's going to give it a go, which now maybe this line is sharp bettors looking at it and saying that's a grade 3 hamstring tear. He's not going to be ready, and no matter what he says, I don't know. But very
that's what
interesting.
It's telling me. That's what it's telling me.
If you think he's a quick healer and he's going to play, like I could see some value in USC minus 1.5 here, but it is one of those situations where maybe the line is giving us a more accurate injury report than the actual school is.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Moving on, talk a little World Cup. The semifinals are tomorrow and Wednesday. The final is next Sunday. Couple of upsets, guys, in the quarterfinals. Croatia takes out Brazil. Morocco takes out Portugal. It was a sad day, and I was as happy as the household was yesterday. On Saturday was a sad day. My wife, a big England fan, they lost to France. France is now the favorite at plus 110. Who you guys got in the final?
Yeah, this is interesting here. It's the matchups. It's France, Morocco, and Argentina, Croatia, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was saying I like the Argentina Croatia side. I think the winner of that takes it. I mean, England. I watched a lot of that game. England was like just as good as France. I felt like to where France. I don't know. I mean, they won it 4 years ago. They've got a lot of talent, obviously, with Mbappe and them, but I feel like Argentina or Croatia, the winner of that side, going to end up getting it done. I'm not quite on the Morocco train. I know some people are, but I think if I had to play this, my chalk play would be Argentina, Messi's last ride, and then my dog would be Croatia. They just seem to find ways to win. It's crazy.
I like Croatia a lot. They're really difficult to beat. Plus 700 is great value. I think they might beat Argentina. I think we could actually see a rematch for the first time in World Cup history of the 2018 final between France and Croatia. I will say this for Morocco. They played 5 matches, and they played good teams. They played Croatia in their group stage, and they've also played Spain and Portugal, obviously, in the knockouts. They've only given up 1 goal, and it was an own goal against Canada. So no one else has actually scored on them. They scored 1 on themselves, and that's it. Scoring 1 on yourself is never good, Zoe.
That's like soccer 101 by Leonard 5. No own goals whatsoever. As someone that doesn't care for football and haven't watched the World Cup because of corruption of all the nasty things that's been going on with FIFA, I do appreciate and like Morocco's keeper. Because their game against, I believe it was Portugal, went to penalty kicks, and
Spain.
It was Spain. Thank you.
Yeah.
My bad. It went to penalty kicks, and he did an exceptional job. That's so hard to do when everything is just riding on you. And I wouldn't be surprised if Morocco showed up and maybe upset a couple teams to go to the final. But at the end of the day, I'm probably gonna pick the French.
It's listen. Morocco's a tough team to beat. First African team ever to make the semifinals. Yeah, and I will say the TV executives around the world would not be real thrilled about a Croatia-Morocco final. People would watch anyway, but they'd watch France-Argentina, Mbappe against Messi a lot more. All right, let's wrap up the weekend anyway, and talk big bucks results. Jim Derry, he needed a vacation day. He needed a vacation day. He's got the Patriots tonight, and he can maybe salvage something from the weekend. But he's gunning on me for last place here. I'm gonna have to. I am working pretty hard to hold on to last place.
Man, yeah, I'm just trying to stay above $1,000, and that's been a good philosophy. I'm the only one there, and even I didn't have a great week this week, man.
No, it was pretty ugly. Listen, you can add $100,000 to my total, okay? We'll talk that. Kyle, you are correct.
Big bucks, not actual.
This is our geography lesson. Senegal is in Africa. However, Senegal has never made the semifinals of the World Cup. So Morocco, the first African team to make the semifinals. We'll wrap things up by looking ahead. First of all, tonight's game official pick. Zoe Collins-Rath, give me a pick on Patriots-Cardinals. Final score tonight.
Patriots 20-17. I think the Cardinals may do something, given that they are playing at home, but I trust in Bill Belichick. I trust.
All right, Spencer.
Yeah, I feel that. I think the Patriots will get. I think they'll get a lot. I was gonna maybe play the total, but I think it's gonna be right around that number. I'm gonna say Patriots 27, Cardinals 20.
Okay, and I you know what? Just to be different, because I know Jim likes the Patriots too. I kind of like the Patriots, but just because the NFL's had a crazy week, let's say the Cardinals get it done tonight. Kyler Murray pops a couple of touchdown runs. Cardinals 21-17. So we'll see what happens. Looking ahead, week 15. The good news is we get Saturday games the rest of the way, guys. We get a game Thursday, so four days of NFL football for the next 4 weeks through the end of the regular season, and then also the first playoff weekend. You get Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So we've got Saturday NFL. Dolphins, Bills, the big one on Saturday. The Bills are 7.5-point favorites. A couple of interesting lines, though, Spencer. Cowboys only 4.5-point favorites in Jacksonville, and the Bengals favored by more than a field goal. Tom Brady, how the mighty have fallen, continues to just lay points to just about everybody.
Yeah, and they don't cover. I mean, the Bucs are like the worst team in the NFL against the spread. They have been bad, so I don't think I'll make this one of my best bets, but I might bet the Bengals again. Like I said, they've been making me money, and to me, they're just a way better team. It could be a slight trap game, though, because you figure Tom Brady's going to snap out of it at some point, right? But the way he's been playing, I definitely wouldn't touch the Bucs. If I had to play this, I'd just ride the hot hand. Bengals are hot, Bucs are not.
You think Jim will bet on the Titans again?
I hope not. Man, the casinos loves him keeps just giving money to him with the Titans. Hey, the Titans stink, man. The Titans stink.
Well,
No.
We might still
bad
win
as the NFC South
bet.
is. The AFC South not much better. It's not much better. The Titans will probably get to 8-9, maybe 9-8, and salvage a winning team out of that division, Zoe. But that division's stinky too.
Yeah, I was looking at these lines today too, and I'm thinking, how are these lined up? How are these things possible? I honestly don't think I would bet any of them, because they're just too.
Well, that's not allowed.
How about this?
What?
I'll bet
them all.
No, here's what I'll do. I'll bet on the Bears, then I'll make some money, because I won't bet on the Bears. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
That's
the Bears, I think, are 9-point home dogs, and it's not a bad move to bet on a 9-point home dog, but the Eagles could wreck that team.
I know.
I actually have played a teaser already. I'll tell you. I got when it was still 8.5. I got the Eagles minus 2.5, and I took the Vikings, who you don't see. They play a Saturday game, and I teased them up to plus 2.5. So I just need the Vikings to win against the Colts and the Eagles to beat the Bears by at least a field goal. So I do. I'm already on that teaser. Yeah. As far as the Titans go, I just don't. The Titans and Jaguars are the two teams. I'm not betting those teams because you never know what you're going to get.
Yeah. I know Jacksonville sucks. They're so. Oh no, he doesn't. He's not as good as I thought he would be, but he just really doesn't suck. He's shown that he's the best quarterback in that division. Not that that's saying a whole lot, but he's way better than Ryan Tannehill, Davis Mills, or Matt Ryan. And I think there's still a chance that they can rally and win that thing. And then Jim Dario owe me a po' boy.
All right. Well, I think that after yesterday, the Titans are they still 2 games up on the Jags? They may be, but the Jags now own the tiebreaker. They still have to play again. In Jacksonville. So if the Jags could win that game, they would catch up a game and own the tiebreaker, meaning they only need to make up one more game in the next 3 weeks. So interesting situation there. We'll talk more about NFL playoff odds and much more on Thursday when Bayou Bets returns at 4 o'clock. In the meantime, Spencer, you and I back at 2 o'clock tomorrow for the Fantasy Roundup. It's Fantasy Playoff time. You're about to run me down for the last playoff spot in the listener league.
That's getting intense. We're tied, man. We're tied.
We're tied for the last playoff spot. So
let's go.
This guy and me going to have some beef tomorrow on the Fantasy Roundup. Join us at 2 o'clock, same channels. Zoe, appreciate you coming to drop some basketball knowledge. How about a final thought from the college basketball world?
Oh, I have so many, but I will say UConn needs to get healthy. Poor Gino Auriemma only had 2 reserves. Everyone else was injured, and I wouldn't touch anything until everyone on that Huskies team is healthy. But if you want to watch other good women's sports, watch women's volleyball, women's college volleyball.
Final four this weekend in women's volleyball. And by the way, the UConn women, as great as they always are, the UConn men are worth a look in the futures market, by the way, because they're undervalued. That might be the best team in the country. They are just wrecking people. Watch them against Florida on Saturday. They are wrecking people. So yeah, it's looking good. Spencer, final thought from you?
I guess a little thought about the MLB hot stove. It's heating up. A lot of free agents, moving parts, shifting around. And a trade that stunned me though today was that Sean Murphy trade. Because the Braves, they had a young catcher there in William Contreras, and they not only gave him up, but they gave up like a bunch of other pieces. Like, I don't think any of those were like their top prospects, but it just seemed like a lot for Sean Murphy, a guy who, he's got potential, but he hadn't really proven to be an elite catcher yet. You're kind of banking on potential there. And then the Brewers, I think it was a 3-team trade. The Brewers, I think, were kind of the real winners there because they were able to get Contreras and I think another piece or 2 out of that. And Contreras is under team control longer than Murphy. So, a little puzzled by why the Braves did that.
Interesting. MLB hot stove's been great. And we still have Carlos Correa yet to sign. I mean, there's still some pieces out there. Dominoes to fall. Dansby Swanson hasn't signed. Kyle, public service announcement. Yes, we are absolutely Monday and Thursday, 4 o'clock, all year round. Might take a week or 2 off during the summer.
Yeah.
We're going to take the day after Christmas off because, y'all spend time with your families. You don't need to listen to us degenerates. But mostly every Monday and Thursday, at 4 o'clock, basically year round, 50 weeks out of the year. So stay tuned. Keep joining us. We appreciate y'all being here. Subscribe to the Bayou Bets YouTube channel. Hit the thumbs up for us. Tell your friends about us. And we will be back with you 4 o'clock on Thursday and 2 o'clock tomorrow for the Fantasy Roundup. For Zoe Collins-Rath and Spencer the Guru, I'm Zach Ewing. Have a good one, everybody.